So this is Patty, and let's start at the very beginning, which is welcome, Patty. This interview will be very chill. It's like a conversation between you and me. And the reason why I do these client check-in interviews is to make sure that, sometimes, there are struggles, there's lots of things. And also, not everything is like rainbows and roses, but also the hope that can happen is also like the reality of what we can do in a month, of our life is incredibly impactful. And to share that hope to those who are listening and watching, if they can imagine a life where in a month they go and they actually convert clients and they're enrolling people and they're changing lives. That's one of the reasons why I do these interviews, as well as them getting to know you, because not everyone will resonate with me. So they can follow you and see what you're about as well. So with that said, Patty, thank you so much for making it today. Even though you think the interview was tomorrow, I'm glad that you had the time in your schedule to hop on today. Let's get into like what led you into this crazy world of Facebook groups, monetizing. Let's start with your origin story and what series of events led you to My Door and GroupConvert Ignite.
Okay, so let me know if I go off track here, but I come from a first phase of entrepreneurship where I was speaking to generate trust and thought leadership and leads. I was creating my own events on a quarterly basis where I was bringing in rooms full of women, anything from 50 to 100 women, to workshops and events. Like a lot of my lead generation activities were focused on in-person experiences, and we also saw that go away in 2020. And I sat with my boutique business that I had during that time for a while. So enough people in my world where I could continue to generate the income that I wanted, knowing that at some point I would have to enter the online lead generation industry. And I did. In 2021, I began by putting together an evergreen campaign that included a quiz, to an evergreen webinar, to a membership. That died. It was like failure. And then I moved into another concept of creating Facebook ads that would feed the front of the funnel of that same journey, right? So let's add some Facebook ads to get more people into the quiz that would then go to the webinar, that would then go to the end thing. Crashed and burned. And then I decided that I would kind of scrap the whole membership idea and start new with creating Facebook ads that would come into my VIP coaching, which is what I had been building, right? And all I needed was, it's the same offer, the same package, the same price, just getting more people in front of it. That was what literally broke the camel's back for me, because something took over my website, which was a WordPress website, and all of it was gone overnight. You heard this story when I came to you crying about my experiences. So I was in a place, and this last experience happened September of last year, where in 2022, I had tried the 3 different versions and nothing gave. And it took me a while to breathe and collect myself from having lost all my collateral everything was gone. Like HostGator was not even letting me into the into the site. And in towards the end of last year, I came across GroupConvert as a tool. And I was sitting on a Facebook group of about 1,000 women that I had generated at some point in parts of these activities that weren't being nurtured. So I introduced GroupConvert to that experience. I introduced reviving the group and getting some engagement there. And that was what brought me back to the, like back to roots concept of, I'm gonna give this group thing a chance. And as being part of GroupConvert, you were coming into my email box like every week. I brought the tool, but I had not bought the Ignite Scale thing. I didn't even know it existed, actually, because the tool came to me from someone else. So I thought it was a standalone thing. And like you were popping into everywhere. You were in the DMs, you were in everything. So January of this year, I was like, well, now that the group is coming alive, let me bring something to this space. And that's how we came to what we're doing now. So it was pretty serendipitous and painful in the beginning, but worth it.
Yeah, and I remember you came to me and you enrolled like a few weeks before you went to our in-person event, but you were looking at everyone and you're like, hey, look, I went through a lot of pain and I experienced a lot of things not working. And this is a big investment for me and I'm trusting you guys.
Yeah.
And so it was like a moment of like looking at us in the eyes and going, hey, is this really going to work? And we're like, yeah, well, it will work. Just have faith.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that your journey is very similar to a lot of people. You know, they create a perfect webinar that they found out wasn't so perfect, right? They like ran ads and then nothing came out of that. And so your journey was very much the journey of our perfect avatar. Really, it's someone who's tried lots of things and find out that it just doesn't pop off right away because it is much harder to convert on cold ads to jumping on calls, and the calls will most likely be very cold. So here you are with this group that you built, but you haven't really monetized it, and you're like, oh wait, and because of us having a tool, you found out about the bigger package that helps you monetize the asset that you have, and that's when you said, oh, I'm going to give it a go and not give up. So I really love that resiliency you have, Patty. It's very strong. And so with that said, when you came into Ignite, when you said it's worth it, what pieces or how did you go about experiencing us? And there were moments of doubt. There were large moments of doubt as well, and I want to share that with the audience because I want to have them know that it is very normal to feel like, oh wow, this might not work, right? So kind of walk us through, like, what did you consume out of our information once you're in Ignite? What are the things that did happen? And then, like, how did you go about overcoming some of your own maybe challenges along the way? And so, yeah, and who did you interact with? So just walk us through that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of I think it's an industry thing that we get to really talk about because we're all experiencing it. I feel like collectively, whatever we are offering as service providers on the online platform, there has been this impact of so many people getting burnt that is impacting all of us, right? It's impacting me when I'm having my discovery calls. Like, people are coming in like, how do I know I'm going to get what I need? And it's impacting you. And I think that having truth-telling conversations, being very transparent about the deliverables is key. And also sharing the human experience of the pain of being burnt, right? Because that's, I think, where you're leading the conversation. So for me, when I joined Ignite, and I wasn't going to start to do the work until I sat in the room and looked at you guys in the eyes and felt like there was a sense of sponsorship and allyship that would bring some fuel to me getting behind it, because I had gotten behind so many things and found myself there by myself that I was not going to do this alone. Whether it would be at Ignite or the done for you version, it needed to have a commitment that was mutual. So when I think I purchased in early January, and you had the event was already part of, like, I had a ticket to the event as part of the purchase. And that was the piece that was like, okay, I can get in the room with these folks and get a feel for what's up. So coming to that experience, I was able to understand the reality of what I needed to have in place on my end to be ready to go. Because what I had understood, what I learned from all those experiences, and what I want everyone to understand is that this is a model that supports, once you've got the key things in your business in order. Like, I could not come to do this if I wasn't clear around my niche. I could not come to do this if I wasn't clear around my packages and programs. I could not come to do this if I didn't have a clear, like, outcome and a clear business model and a clear customer journey. Like, I was not going to succeed, not only here, like, I was able to point fingers inward and get out of victimhood and understand that a lot of why the other things had failed was because I had bought into the story and not done my piece. I didn't have it together. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was coming into these experiences feeling like this is a silver bullet and let's go. Yeah. And then I would sit in them and they would be like, so who's your niche? And I'm like, I want to work with everybody. So what are your packages and prices? I'm like, well, you know, I could put something together that's 4 months, or I could put something like, I wasn't devoted to anything. I was kind of really needing to have that foundational piece in place before I could take something like this on. And when I came to the meeting with you, I already knew that. Yeah. So it was a way of setting us up to succeed, because I already understood, by having gotten burnt, it was a very expensive lesson. But I already understood that the pieces that I needed to have in place, I had in place. And it's what I do for a living. It's what I do for a living as a business strategist. I do that with other entrepreneurs. But in the online business, I hadn't connected the dots. Yeah. Like, I had it in my mind as, I know what these things are, but on the online business, all you do is you bring people to kind of follow you. You need to have these things in place. You need to know exactly what you're going to be offering, exactly what your message is. So that was very important, me coming into the door. Like, I had already known what it was going to take from me. And I was just looking from you if the system that you offered had a journey in it that made sense for my people. And I was also looking for the human touch, right? Like, is this a very masculine, pushy, my way or the highway format. And I was able to see that I could come in and take what you offered and give it my tone and create the human touch that I needed it to have for my folks, right? Because when, like, my business is very much strategy, energy, and mindset, it's very much blending the masculine with the feminine, and it's working with women that I call awakened boss ladies. So just being able to find the tone of what would make me feel authentic as setters were in there doing their thing,
Yeah.
what's important to me. So these are the things that I was able to get yeses around when we spoke,
Yeah.
that gave me enough trust to keep going, right? All
Yeah.
before getting really into it. Did that answer your question? Like,
yeah. So the question was more like, when you came in, what did you consume? What are the things that happened that led you to have the success that you have on a very, little, on a smaller audience that are paying attention at that time. So it's kind of like, you have a Facebook group of 1,000 people, and the total number of people that registered for your training was not 1,000. And I want to get into the details of that, because while when we speak as experts, we're very like high level, big vision, in our languaging. And I really want to be able to benefit those who are listening in, that are like, okay, like, but what can I actually like get from this? I think about like inspiring them to say, hey, Patty had 1,000 people in her group, but it wasn't 1,000 people that registered. It wasn't even close. And her numbers are really impressive. That's on 3 clients. And so it's making sure that that's translated to them. And then also, like, what happened inside of, like, what part did you have to do? You came in with your offer, you came in with your knowledge base, which you solidified from all the expensive mistakes, right? And then how did you, like, what are the things that we did versus what are the things that you did, so that these results came about? It's like getting a little bit more granular. And before you answer that, I want to say hi to Amelie, because she was there when you were like, let's go. And then also Antoinette is here. So
these are my sign up. These are my sign up sisters.
Right. And a month later, a little bit over a month later, here you are. So I believe that they're so happy for you, because they were there in the room.
Yes.
We're like, let's go do this.
Let's do this. So let's look at the numbers, because I feel like that will support the other pieces. Mm-hmm. So my group was, when we started the launch, I was at 1,400 people, mm-hmm. with very low engagement, because that's what Facebook groups tend to be. Like, a lot of, even if you have the big numbers, I mean, you can have big numbers, but there's only a couple of people that are really alive in the group. So I had 1,400 people in the group. We continued to kind of bring people into the group as we were planning for the launch. I had total sign up was 52 people. 52 mm-hmm. people signed up in total. Mm-hmm. My experience as we were going through the 5 days, I could tell you that I experienced engagement from about 8 to 10 people.
Yes, that's what's important.
It was like that number. Wild, right? Like, here we have 54 people signed up, and where did they go? Where did they go? Like, who are they? Phantoms, names, somebody talk to me.
Phantom.
The first day, it's crazy. The first day, I had 3 to 5 women show up into the live, to the point where the first day, if you remember, I didn't even do the VIP. I was
Yeah,
like,
you were very
yeah, I was like,
you were
yeah,
not enthusiastic, let's say
I
that.
was not a happy camper. I'm like, here I am, committed. And this is the thing that made a difference. Like when I say I'm going to do something, when my word is behind it, like my word is behind it and we're going. And I had made a commitment to show up 1 hour a day for 5 days to deliver this piece to one person, no person, or 54 persons, right?
Mhm.
So I knew I had to do that from a place of high energy. I just didn't think I can get myself to show up at the VIP by myself and take the hit. It was like pure ego. It was like, I don't want to go. Kick it. And then I get the message from you, hey, you've got to do the VIP. Make sure you set it up. And I'm like, all right, I'll start it tomorrow. So day one, I think I had 5 people interacting with me, right? They were either in the live, or I got a couple of emails from people asking me for the handout. I got a couple of emails from people, asking me for the replay. So it let me feel like there were other people that were present in other ways, which for me as a new to online, I had to get my head around that, right? Like if it's not butts in a seat, it wasn't landing for me, right? So no, they're here, they're present, they're observing and absorbing in their own way, and that's part of this model.
Mm-hmm.
So I re-engaged into the process by the end of the first day, and we just kind of went into flow from there. What was the things that I consumed that I feel made a huge difference? The setters. Like, I feel like that's an experience that was totally from this model,
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes I would cringe about. Like, my setter is bold. My setter is like very like open and transparent. Like she'll be like, hey, yes, go sign up. It doesn't matter if you can't make it, you'll get the replay, and I'll make sure you're tagged so that you can show up if you have time. Like she's literally like not letting them off the hook from registering, and I'm in the background like like, oh my God, can I just breathe? I'm just going to breathe through it. And she did an amazing job, because I don't think my system would have shown up that way.
Yes.
And she did take my tone. She did like use my messaging, and she was relentless. And that really helped. Cause I would have, it's the thing. It's the pushiness that we get to displace by having a setter. And I felt like we had done the good combination of like my tone, my way of bringing people in, with her relentlessness, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that was powerful. There was the group flow was completely new to me. So this you don't know, and it's funny because I do a lot of energetic work, and I do a lot of spiritual work, and a lot of mindset work, and I'm my own first client. So I was like, okay, let's bring in the energetics to support what's happening. And I created my custom meditation around the people I would see moving in group flow. Because that's a very tangible app where I saw the 1,400 people listed in group flow, and I saw them moving through the process based on the relationship the dialogue the setter was having with them. So that was a beautiful way for me to connect with the nonlinear piece of this process.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very powerful. So if I had to say, it's like the setter was a wonderful thing to have, which I still have. And group flow is a beautiful, tangible tool that helps us see what kind of results we're getting. And with 5 people showing up, I had 5 calls.
Yes.
right? So let's say there were 10 people in the activation, because I called it a 5-day activation. There were 10 people in the experience, of which 5 set up calls, of which 2 I already knew weren't a fit. So I really focused my energy on the 3 that I knew were a match and an alignment to work with me. And all 3 came through to the end and signed up. So that's kind of the numbers.
I love it, Patty. And your so your offer, in one line, what is your offer in your niche, and then what's your price point? You can give us a range if you're not comfortable with the exact price.
I'm fine with all of it.
Okay.
So I am an intuitive success catalyst. I help fempreneurs tap into their next level of success by combining strategy, energy, and mindset work so that they can tap into that higher trajectory in a holistic way. So we do a lot of tactical, strategic big planning and road mapping for their business, but we're also always looking at what in their frequency is keeping them small, holding them back. Because usually that's where a lot of the pieces land when we look at why aren't you getting the level of success. My package that I wanted to bring into this is I've had this package for years, but it's been, for a couple of years now, but it's been on a one-on-one service. And I wanted to make this the launch of the group version of that.
Yes.
So it's called Her Essence Unearthed, and it's a 1-year program for $18K.
Nice.
And what I did is when I offered the discovery call, I said to the women that had set up the call that when they came to the call, if I felt that they were in alignment, I was going to do everything I could to help them get to the next level, right? So I offered them bonuses and different things that I can give them that would help them move to that next level.
Yeah, Patty, I love that. Oh my gosh. 18K, you guys, 5 people booked, 2 weren't qualified. There was only 3, and 3 out of 3 said yes. Mm-hmm. And Patty came into this with extreme doubt about the program. Even after day one, she was like, Kim, I'm not going to do my VIP because, barely anyone showed up. I had 1,000 people, but they're phantom. And then 50 people registered, but where are they? There's only like 10 people here, 10 people here. And so in response, I wasn't like, oh, you should cancel things. I said, Patty, you just got to do it. You just got to go through it, show up. And that is something that happens a lot. Like we doubt ourselves because we look at the numbers, and 3 people saying yes for you is 49,000. And so it is so impactful to be able to connect with your people that way. And I want to kind of revisit, I want to ask some vulnerable questions as in that, how are we different? Besides, we place you with a setter right away. The setter has an energy that is complementary to yours because she's more aggressive and you're not as, you're not like that energy. So that helped. What are the things that you feel after doing a lot of other programs? What were a few differences that was really beneficial to you in terms of getting your message out? Because I believe the connecting piece, the messaging part, and I could be wrong, was part of that difference as well. I just want to dive into the differences.
I think the one thing that so when I say the setter, I'm saying the personal connection to the people that were following me, mm-hmm. and that personal invitation, that personal follow-up, that personal touch for me was very different. I've never done that. I have a list of about another 1,600 people in my email list, right? Mm-hmm. So I do email campaign, and I could pull some people from there. But I feel like the connection, the difference here was really reaching out to people and bringing them in, almost like ushered in. The conversations, like I could see the conversations being had in the DMs, and I could see some people just like appreciating being in dialogue with me, as I was being supported by this person. When the event started, like the setter tags everyone and tells them that I'm live. And I could see people popping in to see it just because they were being told, like, Patty's live, come in, right? That's not something that I would even have the bandwidth to do on my own, right? The dialogue that happens after the live with each person by the setter, right? Where they are reaching out to each person, even if they didn't show up, right? There's a dialogue that's happening around, you know, here's the link to the replay, here's the link to the handout. So it's almost like really, I don't want to say spoon feeding, but it's such a gracious honoring of the fact that they're busy, but they signed up for a reason. So we're going to keep you in the loop. And that gave people permission to stay with me, is what I feel. And that those are the pieces, like those communication pieces, like we were sending out emails every day, like come in you know, the live is in an hour. Patty's live in 30 minutes. Here's the replay on the other side of it. Tonight's the VIP. Once I decided to do the VIP, right? It was like, remember that we're doing the VIP, come and spend time. So those pieces are like real powerful parts of the build that with one person at the bandwidth, it's just impossible to carry all those pieces.
Yeah. So like a thing that made a big difference was the way the ecosystem environment. Because did you ever launch in a Facebook group before? Like, no? Okay. So it was your very first launch. You had help with it, not only those conversations, but also things like help with the slides, and you have your offer as well, but we did help you translate information to slides, right? And that maybe that made it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, like Jennifer was doing my slides on a daily basis, and we were covering them. Like I was providing the information from like a general resource, and she would map it into what needed to be said that day. Like I had my Spark is my acronym, which was the journey I was taking women through. And she was able to put it in a way where she's like, okay, here we need a testimony. Here we need you to put the offer. Here we need you to. So that was super powerful, right? To create that piece for me. Like it's a lot of pieces that were guided, that supported that, and the email pieces that really supported.
Yeah. So you came in, you're like, hey, I have an offer. I want to get this out into the world. I tried ads, I tried other vehicles and methods, and I'm not giving up. And so the missing things for you were the ease of transferring what you know out to your people in a way where there's a container that's intimate. And it feels like that because of that, like, you know, our team helped you with the slides very, very closely, trying to figure out your messaging and putting it in a way where you can deliver the message. You show up, you say what's on the slides. So that ease of use, and then also having everything up and running in terms of connecting the emails and the pieces, and then placing you immediately with a setter to enable those conversations that energetically you didn't just pick up as easily as before, because Maj is like more aggressive with the follow-up. And it sounds like having all of those components work together enabled you to be able to just show up in your power, in your energy, versus like messing with the tech, with the slides, with the follow-up, with the poking. It allowed you to show up, even if the audience is smaller, to have a high conversion.
Yeah. I am clear about the skills that I have, and I am super clear about the ones I don't have. And these are not like I have other skills. I do not have those skills to like run all those pieces while at the same time run my business that's currently requiring a lot of my time because I'm in a one-on-one model. Like that's what I'm coming in with. So for me, it was very important to have the support in building the machine so that I could just flow through it. And that's what I felt was powerful, because all the elements that needed to be there for the machine to have like juiciness, I had. Right. So I love that it's a model. It's definitely a strategic model that has a definitive journey, right? Like what we do on day 1, what we do on day 2, what we do on day 3. Like there's a model, a strategic model that's running through that you're running, right? With the tools, with the support. And that I knew could work because I already had the pieces that can go into it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. So yeah, huge.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, yes, it was huge.
Yeah, I love that, Patty. And when I believe, like on, on the other end, I already know what we had. I already know what we can provide. And I knew, I saw the missing pieces that you had. And it was very clear. It's like, oh, you don't have the systems and the things in place, as well as the aggressive, follow-up piece of a person. And it's like, on your own, can you piece all those things together? Hiring a bunch of people? Yeah, you'll eventually figure that out. But if I can provide the container to fast track that for you, and if most of what you do is show up and be yourself, and we'll say with the team to hammer out the pieces of your message, I knew that you would convert. I knew that one-on-one you can convert. And this is a way for you to switch over into a group coaching model at the 18K. So I knew that would help you save your time and give you back energy. So on my end, when you looked at us and we looked at you, you just have to weather your own doubts along the way, so I'm really excited for the future to come. So my last question, because I do have, my interviews are usually 50 minutes. We started a little bit late, so there's some more questions I want to ask you, but we'll save that for your next bigger, win in the future when you have more than 10 people, show up. So my last question is, how has your future, the perspective that you have in terms of enrollment, how has your view of your future shifted before you entered Ignite and after Ignite? And then after that, where can people see you? Where can they go and sign up if they're a woman and they really want to be able to step into their power with a combination of business and holistic view of their, higher self? Where can they go and connect with you? So those are my two last questions.
Okay, beautiful. So the first question is, I didn't know how I was going to get to an authentic group offer. I didn't know if I could finally get to a place where I could do group, because the signups were just like so sporadic, and there was so much like, up and down in how people were coming into the group, right? Coming into my offer. And now I am 100%. There's no, like, going back from here. I'm streaming everyone into group. I've transitioned even my one-on-ones to have access to the group so that they can start to flow into that. So, and that is a powerful thing that I was relentless about, because it's part of my offer to a woman that she can have it all and she can have a life and run a business, and entrepreneurship doesn't have to be an 80-hour-a-week experience. So I was committed to finding a way, and I came in here wondering if I was going to ever find that way, and now I did. So this is like powerful for me and powerful for my promise to women. And I always tell my women that I go first, and I did it again this time. I went first, I went through it, and I got to the other side and proved it. So
I love it. For the last piece, it's like rapid fire questions. I almost forgot to ask these, but I just want to rapid fire before we tell everyone where they can go to find you, Patty. Okay. Which is time to first win from when you committed and say, okay, let's go. Time to ROI on the investment, and this is something you should also say to your clients after their win. And then also, what was the revenue generated? That is like very concrete numbers that gives a lot of, members.
Yeah. So time to launch was from the 14th to whatever day we took off, which was like the 5th or the 10th of March, whatever day we ran it. So it was like 15, 20 days.
Nice.
Yeah. The ROI was about, I want to say like $35,000.
Nice.
Right? Because what was the second one? It was like,
time to ROI, like time to you feeling like, hey, I got my return on this investment.
Well, the first yes, which was on the third day after the event. So I want to say 20 days, 25 days. Like we can do the exact numbers, but because I ran it within less than 30 days of signing up, my ROI was like powerful. And because I'm doing a high ticket package, my second client was already my ROI client.
Nice.
Because the first client was like breaking even, right? So let's say it was when the second one said yes, which was the third day after ending the activation.
Awesome. About 20 something days in, bam, you got your ROI. And then what was the revenue generated from just 3 clients for you?
So let's do the math. We've got about $31,000, 200, right? We're in a 15, what was it? 18, 15? You tell me. We were in, and it's 49,200. So those are the numbers, right? You want to have, it's about $31,200 ROI.
Not bad in 20 days. Not bad in that amount of time when, for the past, I would say years, it's just like trial and error. And now you have a clear vehicle to continue doing this and being able to monetize in a bigger way, because you're gonna have more than 5 people watching you maybe next time, right? We're gonna make sure that number goes up a little bit, right?
It's about consistency. And I'm in for it, like in for the consistency. So yes, excited. So yeah,
where can they go and find you? And I do have to hop off because I have a summit that I'm speaking at right after this, Patty. So I'm gonna reconnect with you. But last piece, where can they find you? And who do you
definitely serve? So you can find me on Instagram as Boss Lady Coach. You can find me on Facebook as Patricia Ferreira, and all of my Facebook and everything is Awakened Boss Lady. So the group is Awakened Boss Lady Success Circle. My website is awakenedbosslady.com. So those are the places where you can connect, and we can talk about all the things that I put into place to be able to come in here and just like spark success.
I love that, Patty. Let's go. I'm so happy for you. So that was Patty. She joined us last month. She joined us in February. It was her courage, her dedication, her going through the challenges and then showing up for her people, even if it was like 5 people watching her, that enabled that success. So and helping her with the vehicle in order to do that. So if you're on the fence about joining GroupConvert Ignite and you have a group, you tried other things, you tried ads, and you just want something that really works in a way that's congruent with how you show up and your style, then make sure that you hashtag scale below, and my team and I will reach out to you. If you're a coach, course creator, or agency owner, and you want to be able to consistently monetize from your audience using a group, you don't have to have a very big audience. 5 people could be watching you, 10 people could be watching you, and you'll be able to convert bigger on a smaller audience. Hit us up, all right? See you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again, Patty, for showing up. Love you. You're amazing, and reconnect with you soon. All right.